As stated by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, both individuals and countries benefit from education. For individuals, the potential benefits lie in general quality of life and in the economic returns of a sustained, satisfying employment. For countries, the potential benefits lie in economic growth and the development of shared values that underpin social cohesion.
Since 1952, Article 2 of the First Protocol to the European Convention on Human Rights obliges that the right to education is a basic human right, and the failure of a nation or region to do so is an indication of the nation's development, or lack thereof. Global organizations use indicators of the quality of a nation's educational system as indicators of the nation's development. Hence, one of the 8 Millennium Development Goals is to ensure that by 2015, children everywhere will be able to complete a full course of primary schooling, or essentially, to achieve universal primary education. However, achieving universal primary education means more than full enrollment. It also encompasses quality education, meaning that all children who attend school regularly learn basic literacy and numeracy skills and complete primary school on time. There are also many other indicators for the quality of a nation's education, such as adult literacy and public expenditure on education as a percentage of total government expenditure. And even the quality of the school's curriculum, teaching, and access to resources and technology are indicators used to determine the development of a country. In the Philippines, poverty remains a serious problem, as it is the only populous country in East Asia in which the absolute number of people living on less than $1 a day remained constant over the 1981 to 1995 period, according to figures compiled by the World Bank. The Human Development Indicator, or HDI, for the Philippines is 0.751, which gives the country a rank of 105th out of 182 countries. Education in the Philippines is a particularly interesting case study as it delves into the subject of OFWs and how so many Filipinos overseas are only able to attain professions in the domestic services. As said by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the price of educational failure is high. People with lower levels of education are more likely to be unemployed and less likely to contribute both to their own well-being and to that of their societies. Furthermore, this major issue in the Philippines has even more critical effects on students who drop out because they are less likely to have the minimum skills and credentials necessary for jobs in today's increasingly competitive world. I believe it is for this reason that so many overseas Filipino workers are having difficulty finding better jobs and often end up as domestic servants, because they usually do not have the same basic educational requirements of the job. In a recent report from the United Nations, it was political will coupled with targeted investments which have yielded widespread progress in school enrollment. The trend towards increased numbers of school dropouts in the Philippines appeared to be attributed to the government being either unwilling or unable to do anything to augment the educational system in the country, particularly for the poor. In comparison, the United States allocates twice as much for its education as that of the Philippines. Further disparity between this developed country and the Philippines can also be seen in that the Philippines' school life expectancy from primary to tertiary is 12 years, while that of the United States is 16 years. It is also important to note, however, that disparity not only occurs between countries, but also within different economic strata of the national population. For example, in 1977, the highest 30% of Filipinos had 88.9% of the nation's income, while the lowest 30% had only 7.7%. Reaching poorer, more socially marginalized children who normally have less access to basic education is a major challenge. Survey data from 40 countries show that, in most of them, attendance is higher in urban than in rural areas, but being poor is the more determinant factor. Ensuring that the most vulnerable and marginalized children are enrolled and remain in school requires, as suggested by the United Nations, targeted programs and interventions aimed at poorer households and that seek to eliminate gender disparities. Ensuring that all primary school students complete their education in a timely manner will not only benefit the individual students, it will also reduce the number of overage children in the primary education system. This in turn will free resources for future primary school enrollees. However, as mentioned already, it is not just enrollment, but also the quality of education that is important to development. As a Filipino and as a conscious citizen of the world, I feel that it is especially crucial to further investigate this issue so that better, more attainable solutions can be found.